Talos, the mighty warrior human god that conquered the world. A man from humble beginnings, born in Admora, the land of the ancient Nords, destined to greatness, blessed by the gods. It was prophesied that he would unite all the kingdoms of man and rule over the world. He was born with the name Talos, meaning Stormcrown in the ancient language. He was a Dothraki proficient with the way of the voice, using his powerful storm-based thumes to defeat his enemies. Legends say that he was so mighty that massive clouds filled with storms would forever permeate the top of his head, like a crown designed for a divine. A master strategist, he quickly rose to fame, becoming the general of the D-Den king and later emperor, Cuhlecain. He served the emperor well, winning wars for him with his amazing talents. At this point, thanks to his unrivaled power, Talos managed to conquer the imperial city for Cuhlecain in his efforts to unite the kingdoms as one. Skyrim and Hyrule, however, did not see kindly to this, as the idea of an empire wasn't in their best interest, and so they invaded Cyrodiil. Cuhlecain ordered Talos to defend the kingdom in the Great Battle of Sancretor against the two mighty armies. With the power of Talos' thumes, he managed to have the whole of Skyrim's armies in their knees. Skyrim, of course, always seeing the Dragonborn as a sign of salvation and godhood. They decided to lay down their weapons and instead fight for Talos against those who would challenge him. With Cuhlecain's armies and that of Skyrim's, Hyrule was defeated. Sooner after, both Morrowind and Hammerfell would lose to the might of Talos, but not before. A devious traitor and assassin would kill the king Cuhlecain and cut the throat of the mighty warrior Talos in an effort to destroy the imperial city. The city was burned that day. But Talos was destined for more. He was destined to be the greatest man that has ever lived, and so he survived the encounter. With the Emperor now dead, however, Talos was crowned the Emperor of Cyrodiil. Sadly, his thume was no more, as the slit of his throat was far too severe, and so from then on, Talos would order his armies with merely a whisper, but a whisper would be more than enough for his glorious armies to conquer Hammerfell and Morrowind soon after. In order to retain some form of autonomy, the tribunal gave Talos a gift that would herald his glory upon the world, the brass tower Nemedium. Talos, at this point almost venerated as a god, used his own soul to fuel the mighty giant, a giant that had been previously being fueled by Lorcan, an actual god, which meant that Talos had to be divine. He had to be a god. He had to be the salvation that humans had been waiting for all these eras. Nemedium, filled with Talos' divine soul, he conquered the world, finally defeating the Altmer and creating forevermore an empire ruled by men. Talos then passed away and ascended into divinity, since then on becoming a god. Talos, better known as Ysmir, the Dragon of the North, the new ninth divine. Or so they say. Lies, deceit, heresy, blasphemy. Talos was no god. Talos was a man, a sinner, a human with greed, avarice, a liar, a murderer, a betrayer. He wasn't born in Admora. He wasn't a Nord. He was a Breton, a Manmare, a Breton born under the name of Hjalti Earlybeard in the small kingdom of Alcair. In his travels, he ended in Skyrim, where he learned combat and leadership with the lords of the land. Eventually, his martial prowess did earn him his status as a general of the army of Cuhlecain, but by then Cuhlecain was merely the king of Falkreath. In his efforts to secure the north of Falkreath against the Reachmen of the west, he had Talos fight for him, a battle that had grown into a standstill. It wasn't until that night where Hjalti Earlybeard was given a vision. A real Ysmir appeared before him. Ysmir Wulfharth, a legendary king of kings to Skyrim, a legend, a fable of a man. He taught Hjalti the ways of the voice. It wasn't until that morning, when Hjalti came out with a raging storm above his head, that people started calling him Talos, meaning Stormcrown. With his newfound powers, he took down the Reachmen. Cuhlecain's intentions, however, were to become emperor and unite the kingdoms of man, and eventually with his armies he managed to take over the imperial city and rule from it. Talos, however, wasn't satisfied with just a general. He wanted more. He wanted power. His greed overcame him, and he murdered his king in cold blood. He cut his own throat to fake also being part of the attack, to throw suspicion off. He even went as far as to burn the city to hide the evidence. The very powerful battle mage Surin Arctus named Talos the Emperor to prevent civil war in the region and stabilize the province. Talos, however, not the man the gods thought he was relinquished from his might. His voice removed from him. He couldn't use the power of the voice anymore. Consumed by greed, he wanted more. More power, more land. Skyrim, Hammerfell, and High Rock were his own now. Ysmir Wulfharth, now his trusted advisor, begged him to defeat the elves, to usher his destiny and conquer the world. But Talos was weak, indecisive, scared. He lacked the power to assault the south. The High Elves were too strong. Attack the Dark Elves, ushered Ysmir. The Tribunal always had been an enemy to the Nords, believing in their false gods and dangerous. Talos agreed, but not for those reasons, for he coveted the ebony ore that Morrowind had plenty of, ore he needed for his army and to rebuild his empire. And so he invaded and defeated the Tribunal. The Tribunal, to maintain independency, gave Talos the present of the mighty giant Numidium. Talos always had a fascination with the Dwemer, and he knew that this was his ticket to world domination, and so he agreed to take Numidium in exchange for not just allowing Tribunal independency, but to also allow them to venerate their own gods, their Daedric gods, an exchange that Talos agreed upon, and an exchange that Ysmir detested. Talos, you're a false prophet. You were destined to rule the kingdoms. You were destined to unite the kingdoms, but you're just a man, a greedy lord. You just want power. You don't even care about the gods. And so Ysmir left. No matter, said Talos. I have Numidium, but I have no way to fuel it. Back in the old days of the Dwemer, when Numidium was created, they used the heart of Lorkhan to fuel its magnificent power. The heart of a god. The power to meld the world to one's will. Gone. With the heart gone, what power can I use? I need divine power. Yet, I am no divine. Ysmir. Ysmir is the key. Ysmir, the dragon of the north. For Ysmir is a true divine. A long time ago, in ages past, lie the dead remains of the mighty king of the Nord people, Wulfharth, a champion with the power of the voice, the mightiest king the Nords ever had. To bring back this warrior, mages with the power of the voice summoned the missing god, Shor, better known as Lorkhan, creator of the world, for they had found out where his heart was, the heart of Lorkhan, hidden in the Red Mountain in a monument of vanity, a relic designed to mock the Northern people, a massive monolithic creation spitting on the world of the Nords, holding the dead remains of their god. The mages summoned Lorkhan, asking him for help, so they could finally find the heart and bring him back to glory. Lorkhan that revived the body of the king and possessed it. A lot has happened since. Centuries has passed. But the immortal king with the soul of a god still remains. Even though it is merely an avatar of Shor, it still has divine power, enough to maybe fuel the Numidium. I must obtain that power. And so, betrayal, sin, blasphemy. Talos called upon Wulfharth, pretending to be his friend. We will kill the Tribunal together, said Talos. Their religious transgressions and their sins made to the Nords will be paid in blood, said Talos. But a lie. A lie designed to bring Wulfharth into the Imperial City. A horrific sin was made that day. Talos ordered his battle mage to kill Wulfharth and steal his soul into a soul gem, so that then he could use his soul to fuel the brass giant. As Wulfharth's soul was being absorbed, Shor's avatar unleashed the mightiest Thuum of his life. In an effort to take everyone with him, he roared a Thuum that opened up a big, massive gaping hole in the middle of the battle mage and killed the soldiers accompanying him. But Wulfharth died, and his soul was trapped in the soul gem that then Talos picked up. Talos made it seem like Sir Arctus, the battle mage, had betrayed him and wanted to usurp the throne for himself, and that he attempted to kill the Emperor. That a battle ensued and everyone died except him, and so it was believed. Tension grew in the Lord's court. Talos is not who everyone thinks he is. He's a deceiver, a sinner. He'll kill us all. And so he did. Talos, with the power of Numidium, murdered every lord and every noble that disagreed with his decisions. Every person that could ever pose a threat to his reign would be found dead in the morning, including his own bastard child. You see, Varinsaya spent some time in the Imperial City. As the Queen of Morrowind at the time, she had an affair with Talos and was with child. Soon as Talos found out, he had the baby killed to avoid any danger to his legitimate son's claims to the kingdom. He was just a man with the ultimate power to mold the world to his liking. With the power of Numidium, he could do everything. Dragon Break. A dragon break is a phenomenon where time dilates and is reshaped, where concept of a direct and linear timeline does not exist, a glitch in the Matrix. You see, the world is like a machine, except that you have magic instead of gears. But just like a machine, the world was created with laws and instructions. Schematics and designs were formulated by Magnus when Nirn was being formed, with backdoors and glitches. Gods have what you might call a VIP server access into the schematics of the world. They can change things that normal people wouldn't even be able to dream of. Magics and powers that one can only wish for. Magics and powers that now Talos had in his grasp. You see, Numidium was created by the Dwemer to ascend humanity, to become gods. For the creature has the ability to walk through the realms of existence, to escape the bubble that is Nirn and escape its grasp, all thanks to the divine's essences that fuels it. With this power, its wielder has the ability to access the laws and designs of Nirn and mold it to their will, opening up the gates of time and magic to bring back the world to how it was in the Dawn era. A world of pure Aurbis and timeless reflection, of pure magical manipulation. In this state, the new universe legitimizes your desires and the old universe warps itself to accept this. With the two universes merging together at the end of the Dragon Break, having the two timelines reconnect, making all possibilities and outcomes true, though contradictory to each other. When a Dragon Break happens, you can have a person that sacrifices himself to save a child in one timeline, and on the other timeline, the same guy deciding to smith a sword instead of saving the child. Two different, complete opposite decisions made by the guy. But at the end of the Dragon Break, both realities merge, the world making all the possibilities true, with the guy having saved the child and with the sword in hand. It is known that every time the brass god Numidium is activated, a Dragon Break ensues. Talos conquered the south and finally attacked the High Elves. The time dilations of the Dragon Break were so strong that some people claim the battle lasted for 4 eras, while most say it lasted an hour. Just an hour to take down an entire kingdom. The kingdoms of the elves were defeated. Talos being victorious, he finally had conquered Tamriel. But he's just a man. He's no god. The man who forced himself into divinity. And you sit there, praying to him. Your god has been mantled. Mantling is a process where one entity becomes another by impersonating it. Merely publicly impersonating someone is not enough. To mantle somebody, you must become so like them that there ceases to be a functional difference between the two entities. At this point, the machine, the world, the design, the laws of creation ceases to distinguish between the two, and they become one. In a Dragon Break, everything is possible. when the world was being consumed in Orbis, in magical Aetherius, thanks to the medium, with the soul of Shore in hand and the desire to be a god, Talos mantled Lorcan and took over his spot in the divine pantheon, for all the fools to venerate him as a divine entity destined to be there by the realms of the gods, while your real god, the one who bled for you, the one who died for you, lies bleeding, dying, forgotten, heartless. Yet, you pray to Talos. You pray to a statue of Talos stepping on and stabbing a snake. A snake that in the old Nordic pantheon represents Lorcan. You pray to the form of a man stabbing your god. This was his design. He's just a man.